folks, is a Warner Brothers television production.
The Bugs Bunny Show.
Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, Bullwinkle, Top Cat, Secret Squirrel, Milton the Monster, and Underdog were just a few of the 1960s Saturday morning cartoons that I grew up with. With that said, today I'm asking a question. Whatever happened to the Saturday morning cartoons? I mean, they were a big part of my childhood and probably yours too. I decided to investigate and take a closer look, so in this video, we're going to deep dive into the rise and eventual fall of what was once a television staple, the Saturday morning cartoon. From Underdog to Space Ghost to Sky King, Superman, and Rin Tin Tin, it was a great time to be a kid with something for every taste. Saturday morning cartoons first started to gain popularity way back in the early 1960s when networks realized they could target kids who were home from school. The Flintstones, Top Cat, The Jetsons. These were some of the original primetime cartoon hits before they shifted to become Saturday morning staples. Though cartoons had aired on Saturday mornings even earlier, the 1960s really saw the time slot start to take off. CBS launched the full Saturday morning lineup in 1962, kicking off with Captain Kangaroo and featuring a mix of old cartoon shorts and repeats of TV shows like The Lone Ranger and Roy Rogers. Also, cartoons like Rough and Ready, Tom and Jerry, Quick Draw McGraw, Tennessee Tuxedo, and Adam Ant came along to fill out the Saturday morning lineup. Then in 1966 came a major Saturday morning cartoon hit. It was Hanna-Barbera's The Flintstones.
The Flintstones, they're the modern Stone Age family.
This primetime juggernaut that originally debuted in 1960 drew huge ratings at night. So in 1966, NBC started airing reruns of the show on Saturday mornings, which introduced the Flintstones to a whole new generation of young fans. Building on this strategy, Hanna-Barbera cemented its legacy in the animation industry with innovative Saturday morning cartoons that captured the imagination of young people. Among these were groundbreaking series like Space Ghost, The Herculoids, Shazam, and Moby Dick and Mighty Mightor, which showcased the studio's flair for combining action, adventure, and science fiction. During the same era, Milton the Monster, produced by Hal Seeger, offered a humorous take on the monster genre, displaying a unique charm and wit. And who can forget the catchy theme song from George of the Jungle?
George of the Jungle, friend to you and me.
Also, the animated series The Beatles, which premiered in 1965, brought the Fab Four's music and adventures to the small screen, predating the psychedelic aesthetic of the later film Yellow Submarine. This era introduced a formula that balanced cost-effective production with its use of limited animation techniques and engaging storytelling, setting the stage for the animated programming that would later define the 1970s and 80s. The 1960s cartoons marked the beginning of a golden age for Saturday morning television. Iconic series like Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Set a new standard for animated mystery and adventure, launching in 1969 and blossoming throughout the decade. Its unique blend of humor, suspense, and teamwork inspired a slew of spin-offs and cemented its place in cartoon history. CBS's Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids broke new ground by weaving important life lessons into its narratives set against an urban backdrop with a memorable, funky soundtrack. Debuting at the very end of the 1960s, The Pink Panther Show brought the iconic mischievous pink feline into the homes of millions, offering a mix of comedy and silent film-style antics that appealed to both children and adults. The superhero genre also soared in popularity, with Super Friends uniting DC Comics' Justice League heroes in animated form for the first time, alongside other series like Isis and Shazam that expanded the universe of superhero storytelling on television. Adventure and exploration were key themes of the decade, with series like Land of the Lost, The Brady Kids, and Inch High Private Eye offering a mix of fantasy, science fiction, and comedy that pushed the boundaries of traditional cartoon fare. Schoolhouse Rock was another standout, creatively mixing education and entertainment through its catchy tunes and innovative animation. It became a cultural phenomenon and an educational tool that left a lasting impact on its viewers. The 1970s were a dynamic period for Saturday morning cartoons, and we're really only scratching the surface here. But look out, The ultimate 1980s cartoon explosion is about to happen. The 1980s exploded with cartoons on Saturday mornings that became cultural touchstones for a generation. This decade was defined by its action-packed narratives, vibrant characters, and the integration of toy merchandising into storytelling. Groundbreaking franchises like Transformers, G.I. Joe, and He-Man and the Masters of the Universe not only dominated the airwaves but also became merchandising phenomenon, with their detailed toy lines becoming as iconic as the shows themselves. The adventures, battles, and mythologies presented in these series captured the imaginations of children everywhere, establishing a new standard for animated entertainment. The 1980s also catered to many different interests and audiences. Shows like Gem and the Holograms offered a glamorous take on the life of a pop band, blending music with fashion and drama, while Care Bears focused on themes of kindness and empathy. Meanwhile, You Can't Do That on Television provided a dose of sketch comedy that delighted fans with its humor and infamous slime antics. Sports enthusiasts were treated to Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling, which combined the popularity of WWF stars with animated storylines. Also adding to the animated magic was Pee-wee's Playhouse, a live-action show that brought a unique blend of humor, creativity, and eccentricity to Saturday mornings. Then, The Simpsons, which debuted as shorts on The Tracy Ullman Show, signaled the beginning of a new era for prime-time animation, eventually becoming a global phenomenon. The 1990s would see a pivotal shift for Saturday morning cartoons, transitioning from the heyday of the 80s to a landscape increasingly dominated by cable channels and alternative programming. The traditional all-animated Saturday morning blocks were fading, as networks changed their programming to reflect changing viewer habits and the rise of cable powerhouses like Nickelodeon and the Cartoon Network. Early in the decade, there were still notable successes that captured audiences' imaginations. Fox's X-Men the Animated Series in 1992 contributed to the launch of Fox Kids and signaled that traditional network dominance was being challenged. Alongside X-Men, Batman the Animated Series, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles continued the superhero trend, drawing large viewerships. Animaniacs, produced by Steven Spielberg, became a standout hit, and Disney's afternoon programming block featuring DuckTales, Tailspin, and Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers showcased the company's strategic use of syndication to captivate audiences beyond Saturday mornings. But the landscape began to shift in the mid-90s. The emergence of original programming from Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, offering cartoons throughout the week, began to erode the unique appeal of Saturday morning cartoons. The convenience of cable and the appeal of its round-the-clock offerings made the once special Saturday morning slot just another time for TV. Networks started to fill Saturday mornings with more cost-effective live-action shows like Saved by the Bell and California Dreams, and educational content designed to meet regulatory requirements instead of enchant young audiences. By the end of the 1990s, the decline of the Saturday morning cartoon block was evident. The era of waiting all week for a few hours of animated magic was fading. This period set the stage for the eventual transition to the digital age, where the concept of dedicated viewing times was becoming obsolete. The decline was not just a shift in programming, but a cultural change, marking the end of an era for Saturday morning cartoons. In the 2000s, streaming services started to overshadow the Saturday morning cartoon block. Audiences were shifting over to digital platforms where they could watch animated shows anytime they want. That was making weekend slots obsolete and marked the beginning of the end for Saturday mornings. NBC and CBS were moving towards educational content, while cable channels like Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network were expanding their animated offerings. Fox, ABC, and the WB were the last to hold on to the Saturday morning tradition with shows like Digimon, Cubix, and Recess, but they just couldn't recapture the genre's former glory days. By the 2010s, the Saturday morning tradition ended with the CW's Vortex closure in 2014, concluding over 50 years of Saturday morning cartoons. But the memories of those weekends are still special to many people. I'd like to hear which Saturday morning shows hold a special place in your heart. Share your favorites in the comments below and join the conversation about the cartoons that defined your childhood weekends. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more walks down memory lane, exploring the shows that shaped our youth. This is Rich from Rerun Zone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.